I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned was how facts are obscured. Previously, it was manual. Now, on the social media, it is electronic. And therefore, much more virulent than it was done previously. But whatever happened previously was also that thing. I will start off with the 1940 resolution. The 1940 resolution talked about two sovereign states. It was later on, by agreement, changed to the Pakistan resolution, and it became one sovereign state, and Pakistan came into being. But let me also tell you something which are not known. And I talk about the Quaid Azam's strategic vision. Quaid Azam was one of the most strategic thinkers that this world has ever known. Unfortunately, we've never been able to project his strategic vision abroad because he remained confined till very recently to both by design and by circumstances to a small place in this world. In 1946, July 1946, Sher-e-Bangla Fazlul Haq, Hussain Shaheed Sarwardi, who incidentally was a grand uncle of mine, and Mr. Abul Hassan, Abul Hashim, they went to the Quaid and said, we should have a Greater Bengal. And if we have a Greater Bengal, what is the name? We are one country. We may be two countries, but we are one nation. But if we have Greater Bengal, then we will have Assam and all these 7 states with it, and West Bengal. Quaid Azam readily agreed to this and said, go ahead. Incidentally, it was a part of the Mountbatten Plan. It's in black and white. We cannot change it. But the Congress immediately saw the danger. Immediately saw the danger of two things. One, of losing its main port at Calcutta, and number two, the entire resources of Assam and the 7 states. So they came across a strategy which is, when Jawahar Khattak was talking, I was just thinking about it. They came with a strategy which worked. They said, even if there's a minority vote in the West Bengal Assembly, please note it. Even if there's a minority vote in the West Bengal Assembly, Bengal cannot be united. So, in the West Bengal Assembly, there was a majority vote for United Bengal. But the minority vote, because Mountbatten made it so, prevailed because the Congress reached it. And therefore, he went back to the original dream. And what the guy said in his own words, and not talking about other people, he said, for the sake of having a separate nation, I accepted a truncated, moth-eaten Pakistan. Having said that, the real machinery, well, after 1947, first the Indians thought that we would collapse by itself. When people, the forefathers of Qadir Jafar Sahab and Dada Boy and Azam Jees, they came up and put their money where their mouth is. I'm saying this very clearly, put their money where their mouth is. They bankrolled Pakistan. Because of that, we survived. And we survived because of other reasons, but I don't want to go into other reasons. But we survived. And this survival went on until 1962. And I'm going to talk about 1962 because in 1962, India, just like they did on Pakistan, literally declared war on China. They did the exact thing. The newspapers say the Prime Minister has given go-ahead to throw the Chinese out. Jawans swing into action. These are on paper. In 14 days, the entire Indian army was en route. In Nefa, in Ladakh, everywhere. The Chinese came down to foothills. Entire Nefa they had captured. They took a lot of places in Aksai Chain, Ladakh, etc. But they themselves unilaterally decided a ceasefire, and the troops were in such disarray that a lot of Indian army troops came across into East Pakistan and surrendered. I'm eyewitness to this because I was a young man at that time in college. My father was commanding one of the major units in East Pakistan, and we saw these people in Sylhet, thousands of them, unarmed Indian army soldiers sitting there, who had come across even the Brahmaputra, which was in between them and the Chinese, and had come to East Pakistan. At that time, the Indians requested, and I want you to please note this, the Indians requested the Americans, because the Chinese had told Ayub Khan, take Kashmir. This is your, you take Kashmir. This is your opportunity. The Americans turned to Ayub Khan and says, please do not do this. We will arrange for you, we will have talks after this war is over, but please do not take Kashmir. So Kashmir, which was absolutely defenseless at that time in front of Pakistani troops, Pakistan did not do anything. I want to say this because I want to, please note this. In 1965, when for whatever reason we went to war, and I do take this instance that Operation Gibraltar, which was an old, by the way, it was not a new tactics, but it was, I think, like Colonel S.G. Mehdi said at that time, and Colonel S.G. Mehdi was very clear. Colonel S.G. Mehdi said, this is going to be our Bay of Pigs, so please do not do that. He was the SSG commander. And the SSG commander was saying, as an advisor to the Pakistan Army at that level, he was saying that thing, but he was told to his troops were to be used, there were volunteers taken, and Gibraltar force was sent in without training, without logistics, without proper equipment, I mean, everything. Colonel S.G. Mehdi is on record saying, we just need a couple of years of training. We need preparation. But he was overruled, and 65 went in. After 65, India went into overdrive, and they decided they will have to dismember Pakistan. And then you had the Agartala conspiracy case, then you had the Ganga incident, which an Indian aircraft, F-27, brought out of mothballs, was hijacked to Lahore, blown up at Lahore airport. And later it was found that 3 of the hijackers were decorated by India because they were raw operatives. Only the leader of the thing was Kashmiri separatist, and he was used as that thing, etc. But it was a false flag operation. We succeeded because India used that excuse to stop all overflights from West to East Pakistan and vice versa. At that point of time, there used to be 25 flights a day between East and West Pakistan. There were flights from Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi. But they stopped. Overflight stopped, that false flag operations, the thing. And then, of course, I don't want to go into the events of 71. They're very clear. It was absolutely, we had no chance. With 3.5 divisions, lightly equipped, and the entire population up in arms, it was impossible. So, what came into being was a truncated Bangladesh. I use the word moth-eaten, truncated Bangladesh. One originally thought about Sher-e-Bangla, Hussain Shariwardi, and Abul Hashim, a greater Bengal. Now, fast forward to history. Now, false flag operations, since Modi's government came in, Hasina Wajid's government was put into power, super proxy for India. And she went into overdrive for corruption, for brutality. Whatever she could do, she did, right? People in Pakistan, and I've stood in this podium and many other podiums, again answering people in Pakistan came to believe the Indian propaganda that the Bangladeshis hate Pakistanis. I kept on telling them, and I used one cricket pretext. I said, let's see why they do not allow flags in the cricket stadium during international matches. Because the crowds used to bring Pakistani flags. So they would not allow. So here the propaganda was, oh, they hate, and they used to have this small demonstration in front of Hotel Shahbag. You bring 500 people to Hotel Shahbag, and you can have a demonstration of 200,000 people when the road clogs up. And they used to bring, the students were staying in Hotel Shahbag, funded by them. Anytime they used to anti-Pakistan, they used to come out, an anti-Pakistan demonstration was there. And people in Pakistan started believing it. And I said, please, do not think so. Think about all the textile industries owners that have gone from West Pakistan, from Pakistan, set up industries there now. And they're all right. The only thing the Bangladesh government told them was that please declare any other nationality but Pakistani. But you can work here. So most of the textile units in Bangladesh today, 70% of them are of people of Pakistan origin. But I take you to August 5th, 2024, when a youth-led revolution, it was not anybody else, it was not any political party, a youth-led revolution toppled one of the most despotic, powerful dictators. And for whatever reason, she was flown out of Bangladesh post-haste in a very short time, and a neutral government came into power. I want to go right up to, I don't want to go into the fact that I visited Bangladesh for the first time. My only sister is buried there. I wanted to go to her grave. I visited there. I was honored by them, even though I was on a private visit. I don't want to go into all the details, but I will tell you this, that during this process, after the present government of regime of Bangladesh has come into it, there's been a lot of interaction between the armed forces of Pakistan and Bangladesh. To the extent that there are 27 officers of the Bangladesh Army studying in Pakistan Army institutions and Pakistan Air Force institutions and Pakistan Naval institutions, right? So, where was that hatred? And similarly, Pakistan armed forces officers are studying in Bangladesh. Not to the extent that they are, but they are studying there. But let me tell you, over the last few days, from the time the Pahalgam incident took place, every bureaucrat and every armed forces officer and every analyst, without exception, that has come on Bangladesh television has supported Pakistan's point. Without exception. You cannot imagine how they went to town. I mean, of course, they went to some extraordinary stuff also, and they said that a war in Pakistan, any war against Pakistan is a war against Bangladesh, etc., etc. Well, I think, before 6th of May, I would be a bit worried about it. In 1967, the Middle East completely changed. When Israel Air Force attacked Egypt and Syria, and in 6 days they won the war. From 1967, Israel became the policeman of the Gulf, to the extent today that they bomb Gaza, they bomb Houthis, they bomb Lebanon, they bomb Syria, they bomb Iraq, right? They bomb Iran, and then, of course, they got an answer from Iran, but for whatever reason, I think then they became a bit cautious. But 6th May, after 6th May, 7th May, something changed. Something changed when the first aircraft, 70 of them, Indian aircraft, including the top of the line Rafale aircraft, state of the art, Western technology, supposedly game changer, which was inducted into the Indian Air Force in 2020 with great ceremony. They came and they, from a distance, no aircraft came into Pakistani territory, and the Pakistani aircraft, which went up, 30 of them, did not go into Indian territory. But the result was a disaster for them. On the night, the thing, etc., when they went in, they got number of their aircraft shot down. First, they were jammed, superior technology by the Chinese made J-10s and J-17s using PL-15 air-to-air missiles. And then Rafale came down, and MiG-29 came down, and Su-30 came down. And ultimately, they said 3 Rafales and 2 other aircraft. They talk about a 6th aircraft, not known. However, now they had to do something. And Pakistan braced for it. But Pakistan had said, we'll go in for a retaliatory strike. So when they braced for it, they went and attacked us with all across. They had done it earlier also, a day or two earlier, with drones, with ballistic missiles, with BrahMos missiles. I mean, you name it, they threw it at us. It started at 2:55 when the first BrahMos missile came onto Nur Khan Air Base. At 4:30, the button was ready. At 4:30, the go-ahead was given. And our aircraft, 3 aircraft, which were the first ones to penetrate Indian airspace, went and destroyed the S-400, the best ground-to-air missile pump, this thing in the world, which was bought by India. 4 batteries were bought, destroyed the battery at Azam. Once that battery was destroyed and electronic warfare degraded their networks, and our missiles went into strike, our whatever the thing, etc., 9 of their bases were absolutely made incapacitated, at least for some time, while 20 of the bases were attacked. The Indian Air Force was paralyzed. At that point of time, remembering 1962, remembering other times that Indians had come on the table, I did say on television, please don't accept the ceasefire. Finish your job. Go for another this thing. I'm not privy to the whatever the plan was. I did say, don't. You will lose on the negotiating table what you have won on the battlefield. We destroyed their air force in 6 hours. It took Israelis 6 days. It took 6 hours to destroy it. But the destruction was not complete because the lies started coming out, and it's a litany of lies, one after the other, right? Whoever, the thing, etc., is now clear. The Americans who were 24 years, J.D. Vance was on record, the vice president, saying that we will not interfere. 24 hours later, the Americans had imposed a ceasefire in Pakistan. And I don't know what will come out of it, but I don't think anything good will come out of it. They hit our dams also. We should symbolically at least hit Baglia Dam for Chenab, and we should hit Kishan Ganga for the thing. Symbolically, nothing else. But we didn't do so. But so the Indian Master Treaty stands abrogated by them. The Article 370 of High Kashmir stand there. I'm very clear about it. I don't think they will drop anything. They may do this for semantics, for the sake of satisfying the Americans and the Western powers. But something has changed. Something has changed. And I tell you, Pakistanis, you should rejoice. The sky's vision may just come to fruition for many reasons. First of all, the Arab states, all of whom were having, and one of them had a defense pact with India. They had a wake-up call in the morning. Two of the rulers, prime rulers, kings, are Air Force pilots. If nothing else, they must have got up in the morning and realized what has happened. India is not, the myth has been of strategic superiority in this region is gone. And it is gone all over. Right? And by the way, Sayyid Malik Sahib is looking at me and I'll tell this, Navy also kept them up far away. Vikram was hidden from us because of our Navy. Right? We don't want to give out more state secrets there. But the fact remains, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, our friends in the Middle East will not look at us in the same way that they looked at us earlier, provided हम थले नहीं लग जाए, for whatever reason. We have come out of the strategic closet. India is no more a regional policeman for this area. They understand. Who understands this? The understanding is, why have the shares of the Chengdu aviation gone up? Why have the shares of Dassault aviation gone down? Because Rafale, because of this, etc. Because it's very clear what has happened. So I think we have to be very clear as to what has happened. We have come out of the strategic closet. We are now a power in our own right. And not because of ourselves alone. It may be the Chinese have given us the equipment. It may be that Turks have been given us equipment and support. All out support. We do not forget that. And some other friends have given us tacit support also. The fact of the matter remains that it was Pakistanis who were handling that equipment. And it was wonderful to see an Indian general say so. He said something which was very likely. He said, I would rather fight the Chinese than the Pakistanis having Chinese equipment. He says, I would rather fight the Chinese rather than fight Pakistanis having Chinese equipment. He says, the Pakistani soldier, he said, this is a full four-star general, he said the Pakistani soldier and the airman and the naval man is far superior. So, if we have the right equipment, and I may so if we have the right leadership, we can accomplish wonders. I'm sorry for taking your time, but I see today that in the future, maybe, Azam's original strategic vision of two sovereign states, one Pakistan this side, and maybe if Tara Singh had accepted his offer of Khalistan at that time, and maybe Khalistan comes into existence and Kashmir becomes a moot question, and on the other hand, Bangladesh annexes, as their generals and their bureaucrats have been saying on television, that we should now move to annex Assam. So maybe ground reality becomes true in not only the vision becomes a reality. Thank you.